Next, on Current News, it's been 1 year since the murder of George Floyd.
This was not only a fight for justice for one man and his family, but a fight against the discrimination that black men and women suffer.
A look at where police reform now stands. Plus, a second arrest is made in the brutal assault of a Jewish man in Times Square, what the victim is saying about the attack. A DACA recipient is stuck in Mexico after going there to work on her visa application. And a new beginning for one Catholic college.
I'm standing in what soon will be St. Francis College's cafeteria. After over 50 years in this same location, they're moving, and we have an exclusive first look at the property. I'm Emily Druby. That's ahead.
Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. George Floyd's name became a rallying cry 1 year ago today. Now we ask, what has and hasn't changed? Derek Chauvin stood trial and was found guilty, but what about the promises from politicians? Current News' Jessica Easthope has the story of where we stand as a country when it comes to policing.
George Floyd's death sparked protests with calls for change and a push to create new national policing standards.
By the first anniversary of George Floyd's death.
But that's not going to happen in time for President Biden's deadline. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed the House last year, but it's still being negotiated in the Senate.
We're making good progress, hopeful progress, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Key negotiators Senator Cory Booker, Senator Tim Scott, and Representative Karen Bass released a rare joint statement saying, quote, "We are still working through our differences on key issues. Those key issues include determining the standard for charging police officers with crimes and changing the policy of qualified immunity so police officers can be sued in civil court." One senator has floated the idea of making departments rather than individual officers liable in civil cases. Democrats say it's about accountability, but Republicans worry eliminating protections could disincentivize police. Still, both sides say they're optimistic, closer to a deal, with Floyd's family praying that his death will bring lasting change and reform.
We certainly have come a long way, and I am optimistic that we'll get there. But we are more interested in having a bill that has some meat and potatoes to it versus just having a symbolic bill.
Talks for a bipartisan deal are expected to move forward this week, but Catholic leaders say the church must do more. Bishop Frank Duane of Venice, who serves as a member of the U.S. Bishops' Ad Hoc Committee Against Racism, told The Tablet, quote, "It's too easy to flip right over and look at the police. Okay, do that. I'm not arguing that changes need to be made, but I think long term, if we're going to address this problem, it has to be to look inside." Jessica Easthope, Current News.
George Floyd's family spent this solemn anniversary at the White House. The family speaking with the president and top lawmakers, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Among the Floyd family members in attendance, George's daughter Gianna, his mother, his siblings, and his nephew. Their meeting with President Biden was held in private, according to White House officials, in order to have a real conversation with the Floyds. In New York City, while crime is up, arrests are down. Total arrests fell this week from about 3,300 last year to under 3,000 this year, marking a 10% drop. The number of shootings skyrocketed from 27 to 52, marking a 50% increase. The NYPD is recording double-digit increases in 5 different major crimes in the same week over last year. The worst trends involved theft. Police have arrested a second person in the assault on a Jewish man near Times Square. The attack happened Thursday during protests over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The NYPD says Joseph Borgen was beaten by several people in an attack authorities think was fueled by hate. Borgen spoke about the incident and says he hopes to raise awareness of anti-Semitism.
As long as more and more awareness can be brought to this issue, hopefully some positive change can be made. Maybe that requires, strengthening up, the hate crime laws to discourage future individuals from taking place in such violent acts.
Police have already arrested 23-year-old Wasim Awade, who is facing hate crime and attempted gang assault charges. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Holy Land meeting with political leaders of Israel and Palestine. Blinken's goal is to help broker a follow-up plan to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas signed last week. Any breakdown of that agreement could lead to further violence in the region. Blinken released a joint statement with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
We know that to prevent a return to violence, we have to use the space created to address a larger set of underlying issues and challenges. And that begins with tackling the grave humanitarian situation in Gaza and starting to rebuild.
Following his meeting with Israeli leaders, Blinken went to Palestine to speak with the president there. The Secretary of State's tour will also take him to Egypt and Jordan. U.S. bishops, meantime, are praising the Biden administration for redesignating Haiti for temporary protective status, commonly known as TPS. The status allows immigrants to stay and work in the U.S. during a time when it's deemed unsafe for them to return to their home country. Haitians currently living under TPS will be exempt from deportation for 18 months. In a statement, U.S. bishops said they are grateful for the decision, saying, quote, Haiti is widely recognized as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. The church in Haiti has been directly impacted by the unprecedented levels of gang activity, with targeted kidnappings of clergy, religious, and laypersons in recent months, adding to the need for an urgent response. A dreamer who lives in Massachusetts has been denied re-entry to the U.S. after going to Mexico for her visa interview. Family and lawmakers are now fighting to get her back. Natalie Pozzo has her story.
Make a wish! Happy birthday!
This year's birthday wish for Nicole and Amali is for their sister, Ana Rafael Cruz, to come home.
It really hurts. To me, my life is like on stop. We're all devastated.
Maria is Ana's twin sister. They crossed the border with their mother at the age of 6. The now 25-year-olds are DACA recipients. Earlier this month, Ana was invited to Mexico for her visa interview, which would have gotten her one step closer to completing her permanent residency in the U.S.
She left with the reassurance of her attorney that everything was going to be fine and that her case was simple.
But Maria says her sister was told she was not eligible because she entered the U.S. without documents. Ana, who was just a child at the time, was given a 10-year ban before she can re-enter the United States.
And since she's been here, she's done everything correctly.
Ana's manager at Banfield Pet Hospital in Woburn says a 25-year-old is working 2 jobs to put herself through college.
She's been an exemplary student. She's been an exemplary employee. She has worked hard. This is exactly the type of person who you want here.
The family reaching out to lawmakers, including Representative Lori Trahan, whose office confirmed is assisting.
This is home. My sister was saying that even though we didn't have the immigration status, I always felt like this is where I belong.
That was Natalie Pozzo reporting. The family is now considering other options with lawmakers and looking for a new attorney. Meantime, a bad situation at a pop-up shelter for migrant children could get worse. According to people who have been there, the emergency shelter in Fort Bliss, Texas is like a warehouse for thousands of migrant children. Attorneys who have visited the facility say they saw kids with little to do in the tents, and the facility is not meeting their needs. According to federal documents, officials are talking about doubling the facility's population from 5,000 to up to 10,000 children. Now to some good news in the Diocese of Brooklyn. St. Francis College will soon have a new campus. The Catholic school is moving in an effort to modernize their college and make room for the growing student population. Currents News' Emily Druby gives us an exclusive tour of the new space in downtown Brooklyn.
This whole space will be open.
A blank canvas, one where St. Francis College can paint a masterpiece, their new school.
We're really taking this to the next level.
The Catholic College's president, Miguel Martinez Saenz, took Currents News on a tour.
We're going to be the only college, I'll say this, in New York City with brand new everything.
Here will be a massive cafeteria. Here, a common space for kids to gather. A 38-seat chapel, an auditorium, art galleries, and an outdoor terrace. Everything brand new.
When you walk into our library, the latest technology is going to be available to our students. When you walk into a classroom, the faculty are going to have the latest technology to use.
A bittersweet moment. The school is leaving Remsen Street, their home for over 50 years. But their new school is just half a mile away on Livingston Street. Miguel says the move is necessary for modernization.
These old buildings, if they're not open floor plates. There's a lot of work that needs to go into them. Students would be in a construction zone for 20 years.
They're also growing, adding 400 students in the past 4 years. They expect to add another 800 by 2026. It's no surprise considering the amount of aid they provide. 98% of their students get some type of institutional tuition aid, financial help, and a modern building. Students tell us they'll miss the old building, but they're also very excited.
Oh, I love the new building. Honestly, I feel like this new building brings new opportunities. Although this wonderful building feels like home already, I feel like sometimes you just need a new change.
I do like the layout of the new building. It looks really amazing, to be honest.
It might seem like an impossible feat, but for the fall of 2022, that's just 15 months away, this space will be fully redone and welcoming students. In downtown Brooklyn, Emily Druby, Currents News.
And from looking forward to looking back, coming up, St. John's University is celebrating a big anniversary. Plus, we speak with the chairman of the USCCB Pro-Life Committee about the Hyde Amendment and how you can speak out against abortion, and why Moderna could soon help get more people vaccinated.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
The Hyde Amendment has saved millions of lives over the past 4.5 decades, but now it's at risk of being repealed. Without it, abortions across the country could significantly increase, and you would be footing the bill. The U.S. bishops are trying to prevent that. Archbishop Joseph Naumann of Kansas City in Kansas, chairman of the USCCB Pro-Life Committee, joins us now. And Archbishop, why do you think there's such a push now to get rid of the Hyde Amendment when it has held bipartisan agreement all these years?
Yes, Christine. Well, thanks for the opportunity to be with you and your viewers. You know, there's a shift that's happened in the abortion debate, and I trace it back actually to the Affordable Care Act, where there was an effort to define abortion as health care. And that was a very, very tragic effort on their part. And once you define it as health care, they're no longer, if people are paying attention, they're not talking about choice anymore. They're talking about imposing abortion on everyone. Everyone has to cooperate. If it's true healthcare, but it's not healthcare. Healthcare doesn't destroy life. Healthcare doesn't harm the child and the woman. And so but that's, I think, where it stems from, this effort now to say, not that abortion should be tolerated, it should be permitted, but now they want to coerce everybody to be part of it.
Yeah, and now the USCCB is urging Catholics to sign a petition. Tell us about the petition and what you hope it will accomplish.
Yeah, so the viewers can go to it's notaxpayerabortion.com to sign the petition, and if they do that, then they'll also be sent action alerts on how they can reach out to their individual congressman or woman. And that's what's really important, that the people of Congress need to hear about this. All of the polling data shows that most Americans, even most that might even identify as pro-choice, don't support taxpayer-funded abortion. And so this could also make states who've chosen not to include tax funding for abortion, this could be used to try to coerce states, if they're going to receive federal funds, that they're going to have to cooperate in this as well. So
wow,
it's a very, very sweeping effort on their part.
Yeah, and you know, research has proven that the Hyde Amendment saves lives. I want to read some of the numbers to you. It has proven to reduce abortion anywhere from 18 to 50% on average. Over 2.4 million children are believed to be alive today because of the amendment. It also saves women's lives, as you said. After it went into effect, abortion complications for women have gone down. So what do you think those numbers will look like if the Hyde Amendment is not saved?
Well, I think the numbers will go up, and what's even more tragic, Christine, is that they'll go up in ethnic communities, and where, for instance, African American children are aborted at a much higher percentage than their percentage in the population. I think the same will happen with Hispanics. And it's really unfair for the government to support abortion, but not to provide support for women to carry their child to term.
So really quickly, what's your message to people at home who are watching?
We need to talk to our people in Congress, your representatives, but also your senators. They're the ones that will hold power for this. And what makes it dangerous is the Speaker of the House supports this. The President, even though he had historically supported the Hyde Amendment during the campaign to gain support within his own party, he dropped that. Mm-hmm. So our defense, our only defense is to get our people in Congress, and the Senate will be very critical in this to try to stop it.
All right, Archbishop Joseph Naumann, chairman of the USCCB Pro-Life Committee, thanks for helping us to highlight this really important issue.
Yeah, thanks. God bless.
If you'd like to sign the petition to save the Hyde Amendment, again, go to notaxpayerabortion.com. The tablet has its own petition. You can find it in this week's newspaper. The pullout has 4 letters you can sign and send to top politicians: Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, and New York Senators Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand. All you have to do is sign all 4 and drop them in your mailbox. A major milestone in the country's vaccine rollout efforts. As of Tuesday, half of American adults are expected to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. That's almost 129 million people. America's total population is also very close to meeting that milestone, with 49.4% of people ages 12 and up having had at least 1 shot. President Biden hopes to have 160 million adults fully vaccinated by the 4th of July. Something that could help in those efforts, Moderna now announcing their shot is safe and effective in adolescents. The company saying in a new trial for close to 3,800 children ages 12 to 17, the vaccine produced an immune response that was equal to earlier findings in adults. Moderna is not yet authorized to use the shots in people under 18. The company plans to submit the results to the FDA for approval. Thanks to the vaccines, college campuses are hoping they'll be back to normal come fall. And over at St. John's University, this past year was far from normal in more ways than one. The university is celebrating its 150-year anniversary. Faithful to the mission. It's the Vincentian motto that dates back a century and a half. Its roots first taking hold in a one-room farmhouse in Brooklyn. Now, 150 years later, St. John's is a thriving university with 7 campuses around the world, 21,000 students, and almost 200,000 alumni.
The story of St. John's University is the story of New York City. Indeed, it's the story of America. It's about immigrant dreams coming true.
Dreams that were nurtured right here in the Diocese of Immigrants with Brooklyn's first bishop, John Laughlin, who invited the Vincentians to establish the school in 1870 as a center for education and compassion for the city's youth. Its guiding principles inspired by St. Vincent de Paul. St. John's spokesman Brian Brown says the Big Apple's urban appeal is still alive today.
So whether you are descendants of indigenous peoples, whether your family came over on the Mayflower or landed just yesterday at international arrivals at JFK, there's a home for you here in New York City.
A home that St. John's newest leader, Father Brian Shanley, is getting used to as the school's 18th president and first Dominican priest to hold the position. He started in his new role at the height of the pandemic.
It does feel strange to be on a college campus and not see kids everywhere. You know, some of our kids are coming in for class, some of them are doing it remotely, so there's a sense of life on the campus, but it's not normal.
Father Shanley hopes the fall will look more like a traditional college campus as they continue to help students through the tough times with the Catholic faith as the backbone of its curriculum.
The Catholic education has always been important to the church. We're interested in not just their heads, but their hearts, their faith, their sense of right and wrong, their sense of social justice and commitment to particularly the poor.
Father Bernard Tracy is part of that mission too, tasked with expanding the university's reach. A 1970s grad, he's been with St. John's for decades.
St. Vincent de Paul founded us to serve the needs of the poor, but also we were founded for the formation of clergy and laity in the service of the poor, with the same spirit of wanting to make sure that our students have a clear understanding about the education that they are receiving.
Students understand that mission. Many of them are the first in their family to attend college.
I think it's that commitment to being a place where first-generation students get the break that really changes their lives.
Changing lives and futures. 150 years later, St. John's University is still faithful to its mission. And while we were on the campus, we also got a glimpse of some rare artifacts in their archives, like this ancient text from St. Augustine's sermons dating back to 1486. We'll highlight other parts of their collection in our next report as St. John's continues to celebrate their 150th anniversary. The Diocese of Brooklyn is looking to boost parishes and academies online. In collaboration with Net TV's parent company, DeSales Media Group, the diocese is holding a virtual World Communications Day for church leaders. The event includes compelling Catholic keynote speakers and breakout sessions designed to help the churches and schools inspire new ideas for connecting with parishioners and students where they are. The event will take place Wednesday, May 26th between 4 and 6 p.m. You can register at wcdnyc.org. Some big news coming in this week's edition of The Tablet. The paper will be announcing the student and school winners of their COVID relief fundraiser. The Tablet wishes to congratulate everyone who worked to make this fundraiser a success. Still to come on Currents News, Pope Francis invites a group of homeless people and refugees to a special screening. Plus, a heartwarming homecoming, how one Marine went the distance to surprise his sister for her graduation. Pope Francis joined a group of homeless people and refugees to watch a documentary about his life. The pontiff invited around 100 people Tuesday to watch the 2020 film Francesco at the Vatican. Francis then spent time after the screening greeting his guests as the Laudato Si Foundation distributed food packages. The film is available for streaming on Discovery Plus. A graduating nursing student out of Massachusetts College got the best gift she could ask for on graduation day. When Emily Booth took the stage at Endicott College's commencement ceremony, her brother, Private First Class Ryan Booth, surprised her with an early return home. I love this. He's been away at Marine boot camp for almost a year, and his family couldn't visit him because of the pandemic.
I was really excited because, again, I haven't seen him since August. So it's just a really exciting moment, and for it to be during my graduation was just made it even better.
Ryan wasn't supposed to be back until next week, but he says he couldn't miss his sister's special day. I will never get tired of watching those videos. They always make me cry. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.